Hello everyone, welcome to the new video. As you could maybe notice, I haven't made a video for a while. The reason is I have been making my projects, but I either started making the video and then I gave up, or I did not like the project and scrapped it all together. So that is the reason. By the way, everybody who subscribed to my channel or watched my videos, thank you very much. I really did not expect that anybody would actually watch my videos. So, what are we gonna do today, you ask? We're gonna make some resin cast house number. I've made some house numbers before from different materials. This is my last one. It was wood covered in resin, but as you can see, it went all wrong. There was some gap and water got under the resin, and this is what happened. It's gross, it's moldy, can't recommend. So, let's make something that will last bit longer than half year, or how long did we have this one? I am using bottom of a yogurt bucket as my mold, and I have glued this little silicone cylinder in order to make the hole for hanging the number. But later on I made a mistake, I will point it out later, and I did not have the hole. But if you do it properly, if you do it as I say, not as I do, you will have a hole, you don't need to drill in it. By the way, I've glued it in with just a regular PVA glue. When the glue is set, it's time to mix your resin. I'm using just my regular resin, really nothing special, it's not a big pour, so you really don't need anything special for it. This is resin for the base layer of the house number, and in total there are gonna be 3. Whatever 2-part resin you're using, make sure you mix them properly, because otherwise you end up with gloopy mess and it will ruin your project. My overall vision of this is that the base layer is gonna be white, in the middle there's gonna be a blue layer, and then I'm gonna paint over it and then encase it in transparent resin. So right now you can see me adding the white ink for the base layer. These are just regular cheapo Chinese inks I've ordered like 1.5 years ago when I started with resin making, and I'm kinda still happy with them. It's just enough for my small projects. It turned out that I did not mix enough of the resin, so I added some more. It does not really matter so much because I'm doing just one color, so I could just add some more and mix it through, and it was okay. After pouring everything in, it's time to pop the surface bubbles. And I found out that I've resined together the clicky button and my lighter. So after releasing that, I popped the bubbles, and then the resin cured inside of my pressure chamber overnight. Yes, I'm pointing at some bubbles, you can't see them, but they're there. You can trust me, because you should definitely trust the weird ladies on the internet. The surface hardened perfectly smooth, no bubbles. So let's move on to the middle section. Let's mix up some blue resin. If you're wondering why I'm splitting the resin in 2 cups, it's because when I work with a bigger amount of dyed resin, I also like to keep a little bit of clear resin on the side, in case I need to dilute it, in case I made something too dark and it needs an extra drop of resin. So that is why. And now I'm mixing. I was aiming for very dark blue, like ink blue, and I thought that was it. So I tried to pour it in, but I realized this is not really the color I want. It's still way too light, so I ended up adding some more ink in there. Yes, that's more like it. I like this color. I've spreaded it all over the surface, and of course then I popped the bubbles with the lighter again, and then it went once more in the pressure pot overnight to harden. And the surface turned out perfect, nice and smooth. I prepared the design I would like to transfer onto the resin piece. It's this. I wanted to draw more of them, but I really like the first one, so I'm gonna go with that. But if I want to paint over this, I need to disturb the smooth surface so it can take some paint. I am using fairly fine grade sandpaper because I don't want to visibly scratch the surface, but I just want it to become matte. As you can see, it's kinda getting matte. I wiped the surface because you don't want the extra dust on it. And I was thinking how to transfer the drawing onto the surface, and it turned out that just drawing it again freehand with pencil is probably the best way to do it. You can't really see that well, but in real life you could see pretty well what is drawn where. I did not draw the details because I'm gonna make them just loosely with the paint and brush. I'm using oil paints. It was just my bet. Maybe it's better to use acrylics, but I really hate to use acrylics because you can't blend them so nice. During the painting, I was a bit afraid the oils will start seeping out over the oil paint into the surface. It might cause some troubles with the top layer of resin, but in the end it turned out it wasn't a problem at all. So you can perhaps try the oil paints, but it will also take really long time to dry, so it's really your choice. I've made the base layer with white, and then later when it was dry I went once more over it because the first one was kind of see-through and it would not really look good. And then after that I mixed up my colors and I went into it with the colors. My inspiration for this motif was South Moravian traditional folklore designs. It's a bit further from it than my previous attempts on the house number, which also were inspired by this art, but I kind of like this anyway. I think it's good. It's definitely unusual here because I do not live in South Moravia, not even Czech Republic. Okay, so I'm finishing some last details on the number, and then because I'm using oil paint without any special medium, it needed to dry for a couple days. And in the meantime, I would like you to meet someone. It's new Muffin! Hello, Muffin! So, as you can maybe remember from my previous video, I had a hamster called Muffin, but unfortunately Muffin died this Easter. She was over 2 years old, so pretty good age for Russian dwarf hamster. And this year I got a new Muffin. She's a bit different than the previous Muffin, but also absolute cutie. She's very curious. She really likes to stand on her hind legs and beg for stuff. We've also built some new enclosure for her, so I hope she's happier there. And I'm gonna make some hamster projects in the future, I think. Even though nobody really watched the videos, but it was kind of fun to make it. So yeah, this is my Muffin. Hello Muff Muff, look how cute she is. Okay, so let's make the final layer. Let's encase our number in the transparent resin. I've again mixed it up properly, really good. Like, always make sure that there are no streaks in it, that it's completely clear, and even mix it for a couple minutes, it's fine. Okay, and here is the number. It's all dry and ready to pour over. Right after mixing, I've noticed that the resin was full of bubbles, so I waited a couple minutes for it to just flow to the top and pop. And now it's the pouring time. I poured it on very slowly. I wanted it to spread to the sides nicely. And in the end, of course, I popped the bubbles because I really did not want any bubbles in the top layer. I wanted it perfect. Okay, and it went again in my pressure pot. And this time I remembered to maybe take a video of it, because perhaps you are a beginner and you have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about pressure pot, pressure chamber. This one was originally pressurized paint pot I bought for $100 from Amazon. And it's slightly modified, and I'm using old fridge pump to pump air in. I usually pressurize it to 35 psi for my projects, and what it does, it kind of shrinks the air bubbles to so small that you can't basically see it. So it kind of guarantees you pretty clear pores without bubbles. And after a day of hardening, this is the final result. And it has no bubbles. I'm so happy about that. Okay, I was surprised how easily these yogurt buckets release. I can totally recommend it for your projects if you need some cheap mold. After removing it from the mold, I've noticed that there is a little lip on the sides. So while it was still a bit soft, I took a knife and I've carefully cut it. When I cut it like this, I really pay attention to be in control of the knife, to not just cut it in my thumb. So if you do this, please be careful. And now to reveal the fail of this project. The hole that is not in fact whole. Because I was impatient, I removed the whole thing out of the mold in the middle of the project when I still did not have the top layer on. And then I took the silicone cylinder out and put it back. But of course the transparent resin flew just in and closed off the hole. So in the end I gave it to my boyfriend to drill in it and make the hole again, because I'm not friends with drill, which is why I wanted to avoid it in the first place. But after all, I'm pretty happy with the project. Even after months from making it, it still hangs, it's not rotten, it's not changing color, anything. So I think it's a success. So that's all from me today. Let me know if you liked the video, let me know what would you like to see in the future. And thank you for watching and have a great day.
I'm also going. Bye!